Let's hear from Mr. McCullough.
Well, basically, he's proving the point. He started talking about the
policies.
No, you didn't.
Policies.
Let me talk.
Policies.
You started, his whole conversation was
policies.
About statues and Harry and this, that, and the third and Washington.
Policies.
What does that have to do with the price of gas? Nothing.
What does that have to do with? What does the price of gas have to do with being black?
What I'm saying.
What does the price of gas have to do with being black?
Listen. Being black is not my choice.
The viewer can't understand you.
I'm sorry.
Welcome back, Warriors. This is me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. We have a question that needs to be answered, Warriors. Do Black conservatives overlook racism? That's the question. And I want you guys to really engage with me in the comment section, because that's what we're talking about today on Chat With Me, Linda B. But before we get into it, don't forget to smash like, comment, share, subscribe, hit all notifications so that you never, ever miss a video that I post. Now let's get into it. So I am going to respond or react to this video, which is Fox 26 out of Houston, Texas. Right. This is a Fox channel. Okay. So they have like 4 Black people, with 3 being obviously conservative and 1 liberal. And this is a heated discussion. This gets very good. So let's watch.
First up, our focus turned to Black conservatives who support President Trump. This is an issue that's ripped from the pages of Nation.com, an article there. Some have accused President Trump of racism on multiple occasions. Last year, he said Black voters are drawn to him because of his criminal indictments and mugshot, a statement some have called racist, while Black conservative supporters not speaking out, according to critics, is an issue. Is there any truth to Black conservatives being at peace with this so-called racism? Or is this the answer more complex? Joining us to talk about it here on The Factor Uncensored tonight, members of the Urban Conservatives of America, Rael Williams, Alexandra Butler, the group's founder, Jonathan McCullough, and former president of NAACP, Brazoria County, Eugene Howard, who's not a member of the group, and you'll soon see. But let's begin with you guys. For those who say there's a lot of racism that you have to stomach as a Black conservative supporting President Trump, what would you say to that?
Personally, I would say that I've ignored a lot of racism from the left. When Joe Biden said that Black people, or excuse me, he said poor people are just as bright and talented as white people, that's a racist comment. There's types of racism that seem to go ignored and unnoticed by the left and the right, but it's the racism of low expectations that I can't ignore. And so that's why I brought that up first, is because the racism that they want us to overlook is the racism coming from the left.
All right, let's go down the line, sir, Mr. McCullough.
Yes. Racism to me, it's not what someone says, it's what they do. And I think this is what makes us different from the left, because we're not watching, what people is saying. We're watching what they're doing. Because at the end of the day, a leader, a president, a politician, whatever you are, it's based on policy. So if you can show me policy that affects or that you can call racism, then I'll agree. But up to this point, I have yet to see anything that he's put into law that affects Black people negatively.
Eyes wide shut.
All right. Mr. Williams, Ultra MAGA. What's your guy?
Ultra MAGA. Trump has been great for Black people. If you look at the statistics, Black unemployment was at the highest rates when he was in office. You go down and you look at, he just declassified the MLK files. Something Barack Obama didn't do when he was in office.
Of course not.
So I mean, you people are saying he's racist, but he's doing things that presidents that were of color didn't even do.
That's right.
I mean, hold on, wait, let me finish.
It's only been one. Don't say it.
So again, Trump is the man. I support him hands down, because what he's done for Black people is literally like you can't compare it to anything.
Right. And before we get to Eugene, let me ask you this question, the crux of that interview, that article. Do you see racism in the conservative movement that you're a part of? Obviously, you've already said you see it everywhere, but do you see it in the organization? Either of you?
Well, here's the thing. How are we defining racism? Once again, I mean, if we're going to define racism and get
okay, really, you know what racism is. So
What-
just tell me if you have seen it,
see,
if you
I
experienced.
know what racism is, but I can't speak for everybody else.
Well,
Okay.
let me say something.
Go ahead.
here.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Alexandra.
so when somebody on the left sees me, a black woman, and just assumes I'm poor or ignorant, or they're like, "Oh my
Democrat.
goodness, you speak so well," you're just they're so shocked about that. Why are they shocked about it? That is racism. I overlook that a lot because I'm saying they don't know any better. That happens to me a lot from people on the left. They think that they're my ally. I need their hand. I need them to come in and save me. And I don't. I need God. I don't need them. They're not my Messiah or my savior. So Malcolm X said it best. You know, the liberal is the enemy of the black man. And we can see it right clearly before our eyes. They look at us like we're scum. They look at us like we're poor. And black people are falling for the okie doke. And they're saying, oh, the white man is better than us. He's supreme over us. That's what white supremacy is.
Right.
I don't believe anybody is superior over me. I don't live my life that way. So I just live according to freedom and liberty.
All right. Amen, sister. See, that's okay. Let me just let me just be fair. You guys know I'm a conservative, okay? And if you're looking at me, well, you know I am black and female. And the question was, have you all seen any racism in the conservative movement? They really didn't answer that question. I'm going to say I have seen what I perceive as racism on both sides, more coming from the left, but I have seen some on the right. Because I've seen comments say, "Oh, he speaks so well." Like that is a shock coming from black and liberal people. I mean, I'm sorry, liberal and conservative people. Okay, so I believe that you can have some racist tendencies or be outright racist on both sides. But on the conservative side, we don't focus on it. And I'm not looking for anybody to give me anything. Someone posted a comment under my James Clyburn video that I pushed out yesterday. If you have not seen it, I suggest you go see it because I give a lot of information, giving stats that really blows the thing about voting Democrat wide open. But in any event, I've seen racism on both sides. But the problem with the racism that is on the left, it is the racism of low expectation. It is the racism that keeps you poor and uninformed and all of that. And someone had put in my comment that they said, tell me, what have Republicans done for black people? My answer was really nothing, but they haven't hurt us either. Now, Donald Trump is different. He's done some things. The First Step Act, pardoning criminals, that the Jim Crow Joe Biden crime bills that was really implemented during the 90s under another demon rat, Bill Clinton. President Trump freed people, black people, pardoned, gave permanent funding to HBCUs. Of course, Abraham Lincoln, if you go back more than 100 years ago, freed the slaves in the Emancipation Proclamation. And in the Civil Rights Act of the 60s and the Voting Rights Act, Republicans in Congress pushed those voting rights and civil rights through overwhelmingly, while the demon rats filibustered. And there was no big switch, by the way. No big switch, because there's this false narrative going out that there was something called the Southern Strategy, and it is just totally false. It's just made up stuff. I can dispute it very easily because the demon rats are the party of the overseer that use a black person to keep the other black people on the Democrat plantation. And now they use black Democrat politicians to go be over black districts to keep those black voters voting Democrat. And they constantly bring up racism and oppression. And that is the party of the slave masters. The Democrats are the party of the slave masters. And the Democrat Party formed the KKK, which is the militant arm of the Democrat Party. So now they're a little bit more, incognito about their methods, but people who have a lot of discernment can really see what's going on. Now, there is a liberal on here who does not like Trump. Okay, it's the last man. He's the one in the black. All right. But I just wanted to just give out that information because we don't need to have a mindset that we want somebody to do something for us. We need God. We don't need somebody trying to help us or treat us like we need special help. That's a liberal mindset. I want reparations. I want extra help. I want DEI. I want affirmative action. We don't need that. We're just as smart as anybody else. We did not have it during Black Wall Street. And we had over 600 Black-owned businesses, everything you can imagine, even airplanes and banks. schools and clothing stores, libraries, post office, everything you can imagine, over 600 businesses. This was before DEI and before affirmative action, and it was during Jim Crow, so we don't need it. When you say you need that, it's like you're saying you can't compete, in my opinion. But I know the people stuck on the plantation got their hand out like this. I want the white man to give me something. Okay, all right.
From Eugene.
Please, man, I've been in this twilight zone. Like, I've been patiently over here at the tail dog position. So first of all, if you can't see the racism, your eyes are just closed. You said it's not about what people say about policy. So let's just run it down real quick. They removed the Harriet Tubman from the National Archives. So, I mean, Harriet was what? I'm sorry, the Trump administration, I'm going to be very clear.
But they didn't.
I'm sorry, they did. And
You're
because
wrong.
of that, no.
Okay,
I let them speak.
Hold on, real quick, guys. Let him go, and then
Thank you.
We have two segments.
Thank you. They removed it, and then they had to put it back after backlash. The same thing they did with the Tuskegee Airmen. They removed that and had to put that back. Trump is literally trying to dismantle Black America. They literally had an executive order to the Smithsonian that did not want to fund African American Cultural Museum because they feel like that's anti-racism or that's reverse racism. Now, as we sit here, we have to be intellectually honest because you guys are being intellectually dishonest. If you can't sit here and tell us, if you can, everyone's watching on TV. Don't take my word for it. On TV, you see it yourself. Listen, I'm reading for myself. All I've heard about the leftists. What about this? Last time I checked, the Trump administration is the one cutting the Medicaid, cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare. They're the ones that's cutting education.
He said the last he heard, the Trump administration is cutting Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, which is false. He said the last he heard. So he said he does his research, but he's going by what he heard off the news. Liberal people think that he's going to cut those programs. He is not. He's actually also going to help people who are young enough and able-bodied and able-minded to get off of government assistance. He will help get, and that's one of the best things right there. When I heard that, and I've been thinking this way for over 20 years, that welfare people need to get off of it. If they're young enough and able-minded and able-bodied, need to get off of government assistance.
Last time I checked Joe Biden, you talked about unemployment was the lowest under Donald Trump. My guy, Joe Biden had the lowest unemployment. Like you guys want to forget about that.
You voted for Joe Biden.
I mean, you can cherry pick that. You can cherry pick whatever you want, just like Trump said. Just like Trump said, if you're a felon, you white.
Eugene, let's hear from Mr. McCullough.
Well, basically, he's proving the point. He started talking about the
policies.
No.
Policies. That's what I started talking about.
Let me talk.
Policies.
You started his whole conversation was
policies.
About statues and Harriet and this, that, and the third and Washington.
Policies.
What does that have to do with the price of gas? Nothing.
What does that have to do with? What does the price of glass have to do with being black?
What I'm saying.
What does the price of gas have to do with being black?
Listen. Being black is not my choice.
The viewer can't understand your
sorry.
We're going to take a quick break here.
We'll be right back. Nothing to be
all right, sir.
Gas.
Okay, 1 second, Eugene. Don't go anywhere. We'll continue this conversation after the break. If I don't, I'm probably going to get my ass kicked.
I got to just say that I looked up that whole thing about Harriet Tubman, and I'm trying to, it's on CNN. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to put the link in the description, but I'm just reading it from my phone. It says the National Park Service removes references to Harriet Tubman from Underground Railroad webpage. A large image of and a quote from Harriet Tubman have been removed from a National Park Service webpage about the Underground Railroad following several prominent changes to government websites under the Trump administration. A comparison on the Wayback Machine between the webpage on January 21 and March 19th shows that the large image of Tubman, the railroad's most famous conductor, lauded for helping scores of people escape slavery, has been swapped with a series of 5 commemorative stamps showing Tubman alongside William Steele, Catherine Coffin, Thomas Garrett, and Frederick Douglass. All 5 aided enslaved people seeking freedom. The stamps tout Black-white cooperation. So it wasn't removed, it was exchanged out for images of stamps. It says has been swapped with a series of 5 commemorative stamps showing Tubman alongside William Steele, Catherine Coffin, Thomas Garrett, and Frederick Douglass. And these people aided in the people seeking freedom, and it touts Black-white cooperation. So I don't know if that really falls into a racist category. It was their preference to make sure we commemorate Black and white people working together to end slavery and not focus on just the Black person that helped. They wanted to focus on it was Black and white, and which it was. The Quakers were instrumental in that Underground Railroad. It states a quote from Tubman about her experience coordinating the clandestine network for slaves seeking freedom also no longer appears on the NPS page. The focus of the text also changed significantly. Comparison shows the new page does not mention slavery until the third paragraph, which it still mentions it, but until the third paragraph, and cuts a reference to the Fugitive Slave Act of 1850 entirely. Previously, the article started with a description of enslaved people's efforts to free themselves and the organization of the Underground Railroad after the Fugitive Slave Act. The article now starts with 2 paragraphs that emphasize the American ideals of liberty and freedom. So what was stated by that liberal man was false. All they did was it starts about liberty and freedom in the first 2 paragraphs, if it's even correct, because it's CNN, forgive me, that's the one that popped up. And then it goes into everything else in the third paragraph. And it gives more of a reference to Black and white people working together to end slavery. So what he's saying is incorrect. And that sounds like something Donald Trump would do, because he wants it to be more about us together ending bad things than it just about Black people, because it paints the picture that all the Black people were being oppressed and all the white people were evil, which is not true. There were white people that were abolitionists. They gave up their lives to stop this evil institution of slavery and Jim Crow and all the things, about the freedom bus rides and all of that. So when you got Black people walking around, got some grievances against when you have Black people, mostly liberal, walking around with grievances against white people, they just conveniently forgot about the white people that were arm in arm against this evil thing of Jim Crow and slavery. There were white people in part of the Underground Railroad. So just let us not forget that.
To the Factor Uncensored, we're continuing our conversation about the outlook of or being at peace with so-called racism antics in the conservative movement. Our guests are here, and they all say that just doesn't happen. And we will pick back up with Mr. McCullough. Your thoughts now after hearing Eugene.
Well, as I said, one thing that I don't do, once again, I could care less about what people says or what someone else's interpretation about what they said. I'm a free thinker. I process it, I listen to it, and I watch. If Donald Trump is the problem, why do our communities look the way they look? Explain that to me. How is that possible? How is it possible?
I mean, it's a system.
Answer that question. Whose system? Is it Donald Trump's system?
It's called systemic issues, brother. It's more than one.
Oh, so it's not Trump, it's systemic.
Bro, just don't try to change the subject because you don't want to be down.
I'm trying to remain on the subject.
I'm willing to say there's systemic issues, there's systemic problems in this country. There has been since 1619, since we got here, bro. So if you want to talk about that, we can talk about why our housing look like they do. Or if you want to talk about slavery,
I got a question.
Jim Crow, segregation, we can go down the list, bro.
I got a question.
So
Okay,
we have to be intellectually honest.
Okay, let's be intellectually honest. Let me tell you something. The Black community is the most dangerous place in the world for a Black man. So if we want to be intellectually honest, am I right or wrong?
You're wrong.
And Mr. McCullough, for those who are wondering what you explain that.
Well, it's dangerous. Let's just be real. Listen, the violent culture in the Black community will not be addressed by Black people because we're too busy worried about white supremacy, right? The safest place is the white community. Keep it 100.
Yeah.
Keep it 100.
He keeps saying we got to be intellectually honest, but you have to first be an intellectual to be honest.
Ooh.
So we're seeing right now.
Hold on, so you don't take the jab.
We're seeing
Alexander
weaponized incompetence in action through when Trump gets rid of redundant civil rights bills, DEI bills. We're seeing weaponized incompetence. Oh, he got rid of this. He must hate Black people. So let's end all this for Black people. Somebody at the the top of another part of an organization is the one doing that. Trump didn't say, I'm writing an executive order to get rid of Harriet Tubman. He never said any of these things.
No.
So you're being intellectually dishonest.
I'm not. It's called an administration.
No,
So hold on. Let me go back.
Let's hear from Eugene really quick, and then you, Mr. Williams, next.
As the only sensible black person sitting up here, like on TV, let's let them decide who has the intellect and who doesn't. As we sit here and speak policy. Now, secondly, you talk about actions. Going back to Harriet Tubman, you know, Harriet Tubman did have a little tool that she used to carry. All I would say is I'm so glad we all free, because all of us wouldn't have made it if we was walking with Harriet right now. Because all of us would not make it. Because Harriet was very strict. Because we all know all skin folk ain't kinfolk. All skin folk ain't down for the struggle. There is no way.
That's an emotional jargon.
No, you can say whatever it is.
That's emotional.
There's no place.
Emotionalism.
Hold on, let me finish my point. If you want to say if you want to say the most dangerous place for a black man is the black community, there's no place safe.
Let me tell you something. Facts prove that.
You know what? The most dangerous place is the womb of a black woman.
Let's hear from Mr. Williams.
Black communities have the
I want to just stop it because the lady up there in the yellow dress, well, she's the only one there. That's a female. She said the unsafest place for a black person is a mother's womb, and she's referring to abortion. Okay, let me just be clear. And again, you know, on the conservative side, we don't focus on it. We don't focus on oppression. We just live and operate in our freedom. We're already free. I don't need to look towards anybody of any color to give me anything. I look to God. I don't look to the government. I don't have my hand out to a person. No one's better than I am. No one is supreme to me. Only God is supreme over all. So I don't look to people. I don't look to the government. I don't look to white people. I don't do that. We don't do that on the conservative side. We depend on God and hard work. That's what we do. The liberals tend to focus on the grievances of the past, and they don't want to move forward. I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist, because it clearly does, but it's not enough to keep a person with God on their side down if they work hard. If you got God on your side and a good work ethic, no one can keep you down. No one can hold anything from you. Okay, only we can do that to ourselves. All right, that is just the actual fact of it. And everything the man in the black who's a liberal is complaining about was Democrat policies, slavery, Jim Crow, all of that. All of that. The slave owners formed the Democrat Party, and the Democrat Party formed the KKK. And we don't need any special treatment, no DEI, no affirmative action. Black Wall Street was formed before all of those things came into being, and it was very successful. We don't need it. We don't need it. We can focus on merit because we can do it. We're just as smart as anyone else.
Highest crime rates, Isaiah.
Keep it real.
I mean, let's just be honest, all right? Like,
Yes.
you right.
And they also have the highest property. Is property not a part of that?
Hold on, let me
We're not
finish.
talking about
But if you're talking about
Oh my
Donald
God,
Trump
here
and
we
what
go.
he's done for black people,
What has he
you
done?
got to remember
Please
when
tell me what he's
Jesse
done.
Jackson, right?
What has Donald
What
Trump
did he
done?
do for him?
Tell me what Donald
What
Trump
did
done.
he do for
Eugene,
Jesse
let him
Jackson?
finish. Let him
What
finish,
did he do?
Eugene.
He helped Jesse Jackson form Black Wall Street.
Dog, we talking.
Okay,
what
hold
is that?
on, wait,
He did.
hold on. He gave how much to the black community?
I don't know. You tell me.
Close to $80 billion.
80 billion.
$80 billion.
In what? In what?
$80 billion.
In what?
What you talking
You gotta do
about?
your
You just,
research.
you just can't throw numbers out. And he
Well,
got
you going rhetoric,
was it education? Was it housing?
Hey,
Was it reform?
one at a time.
Yes.
One at a time.
Don't say yes.
All of
Like,
this.
give me something. I gave you the policy.
Go research,
You
bro.
already
Oh,
said
man,
it.
come on, y'all the intellectual.
Okay,
Remember, you should have answers.
hold on. On top of that,
Intellectual geniuses.
okay.
No, it's not about that, man.
It's not- guys, what
Can I
is
say?
that?
Okay. On top of that, again, he declassified MLK files, something Barack Obama did not
Man, he
do.
declassified his
Okay.
sex tapes. You interested
Hold
in
on,
that?
hold on,
I'm so glad you so
Hold on,
probably got
excited
sex
about
tapes.
that.
Hold on,
You
hold on.
probably got sex tapes of
Congratulations.
your own boy.
Congratulations.
So now
Come
we
on,
know,
Eugene.
so
We got
now
to hear
we
each
know
other.
who killed MLK. Okay, Donald Trump has always been for the black man.
He's the greatest president
never
America
been
has
against the
ever
black
seen.
man.
Stand down and wait
All right,
for it.
Mr. McCullough, you have the last 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Let me tell you something. Here's what we have to stop doing. We have to stop assuming that all black people have to think alike.
Thank you.
We
I
have
don't
to
think
stop.
like y'all,
Hold
so we
on. That is racism in and
I
of
don't think
itself
like
within
y'all.
the black community.
Oh my God. Why?
Listen,
Because I don't think like y'all. I'm a
Can I
racist.
finish?
Did
Boy,
more
you
for
lost.
the black
Gotcha.
community than Barack Obama.
Can I-
A black man.
can I finish?
A black
Okay.
There's
man.
a reason.
Answer that. Answer that.
There's a reason President Trump is the first president in modern history to crack the black vote and get majority of the black support.
Come on.
And also,
Woo, they got heated, didn't they? But I just wanted to give you guys those historical nuggets in between time because, yeah, you can't discount the fact that black districts that have been headed by black Democrat politicians for decades are doing horribly. Okay, the Democrat Party uses black people to keep I'm sorry, excited. The Democrat Party uses the black Democrat politician to keep black people, the voters, voting for the Democrat Party. That black person gets paid very well, very, 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 very well, but they don't do anything for their voters. You can look at the mayor of Chicago, the mayor of the village of Dalton. You can look at all those areas that are primarily black. They've got black leadership for decades. The schools are horrible. The crime is high. There's high poverty. I just did a video with James Clyburn, who's over the 6th congressional district in South Carolina. The poverty in that area, which is a mostly black area, it votes Democrat. It's the only Democrat district in the whole state of South Carolina, and its poverty rate is the highest. And the kids are not graduating, reading, writing, doing math or history at grade level, nowhere near. But yet they've had James Clyburn, who is black and a demon rat, over that district since 1992, and things have steadily declined. He is paid well to keep the black people in that district oppressed, uneducated, uninformed, and voting Democrat. That's how the Democrat Party rolls. But I thank you guys so much for watching this video. Don't forget to smash like, comment, share, subscribe, hit all notifications so that you never ever miss a video that I post. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America, and march on, warriors.